Good evening, babies, and welcome back to Monday's episode where we are going to be covering fingering. Now, as entry level as this might seem, it actually is a little bit more complicated than you would like to believe. Now, that doesn't mean that we all don't know what it takes to finger a vulva, but we want to be doing it really, really well. So whether you're new to fingering completely or whether you're here to learn for yourself or to please your partner, these are just some of my top tips on how to finger somebody really well. But first, before we get started, I want to take a second to talk about my giveaway, where I'm giving away one of my very limited edition oversized after sex hoodies. So the giveaway will be announced on April 7th, the day before the launch date of April 8th. Now, to enter, all you have to do is follow this easy step. Yes, this one step. All it is go to the link down below, amoodypleasure.com, enter in your email address, and the winner will be chosen and announced on my Instagram on April 7th. Also, you don't have to follow my IG if you don't want to. However, you will be notified there as well as an email directly sent to you. Good luck to you, babies, and I can't wait to see who wins. A lot of the time, our attention is mostly drawn to the clitoris. There is much more to stimulate, like your labias, the labia majora, the labia minora, the outer opening of the vagina. I want you to keep in mind not to shock those 8,000 nerve endings. So don't start super intense. Not only can it be really jarring, but extremely painful. Touch and caress to stimulate other pieces of the vulva and then move to the clitoris. It's like the foreplay for the clitoral foreplay. Now, in this video, I don't really feel like covering the vulva anatomy, so I'm just gonna drop a picture up here and I want you to go back and look at it and understand and get to know the parts and the pieces of your own vulva or of your partner's vulva. That way you know exactly what you are stimulating and where you are touching and where you're gonna be sending your love and caressing and caring. The second most important thing is to use lube. Make sure there is adequate amount of wetness. The more slippery you are or your partner is, the more satisfying your touch will be. I don't know how to word that in any other way. People have such a hard time reaching for or asking for or grabbing the lube when really what they're missing out on is amplifying their pleasure. Disregard completely that natural lubrication is enough. The vaginal wetness is subject to the body's fluctuations and can be impacted by hormones, hydration, your cycle, medication, and stress. So instead of leaving this all up to chance, just take that extra step and grab the lube. Plus, if you're a penis owning partner or you're somebody pleasing a vulva and you do this, I'm telling you, this step is going to blow them away because that means that you are showing that you care about their pleasure. And they may not even know how much you're about to blow their mind. So that already gives you one step up on the competition that they might have run into in the past. So now that we have the level of wetness covered, let's move on to the next one, which is going to be speed. So like I mentioned before, you're running a marathon, you are not sprinting. Think slow, steady, sensual buildup. Remember, the average vulva takes anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes to achieve orgasm. So start gentle, slow, and steady. Increase the speed and intensity as you move closer to the more sensitive areas. This will direct blood flow to your partner's genitals, increasing stimulation as well as increasing their arousal. Now, if you're really trying to blow your partner's mind, incorporate a little bit of massage in your thighs, the belly, the booty, the boobies. Get all that blood flow and direct it towards their vulva, or what I like to call the vulva, the yoni. So the next one I want to talk about is building that anticipation. When we talk about building the anticipation, I want you to think about working from the outside inward. So that means stroking those outer edges, moving closer and closer till you're hitting your target, which is the clitoris. But first, I like to start with some seduction of the erogenous zones. So touching and lightly stroking, kissing, or nibbling on these areas, such as the lower tummy, the inner thighs, the booty, the boobies, seducing those areas before we're moving to the genitals. That light tease is all part of the buildup. Now we're going to move into the genitals, starting with a light but firm pressure, pressing down on the pubic mond, right above the pubic bone. This is where your G-spot is internally. Moving on to the labia minora and majora, or the inner and the outer labias. Maybe even stimulating the perineum, which is that little spot between the anus and the vagina. Super sensitive area. And then gently grazing one finger just above the clitoris. Now, hopefully your partner is aroused, turned on, and dripping by this point. But don't jump in just yet. Start zoning in on those areas that they enjoy and are expressing the most. At this point, we're talking about the consistent rhythm and touch. Maybe incorporating some circles, maybe going back and forth. Listen and lean into what your partner is telling you and what their body is telling you, which is the last tip I'm going to give to you, but almost the most important of them all. And that is keep your ears and your eyes open to your partner's body language, their moans, their groans, their voice, their body movements, whether they're just still or whether they're starting to clench and tighten. Their breath maybe gets longer or shorter. Now keep in mind, these directions and sounds that they're making are going to be something you really need to pay attention to, because these are the cues that if they start dying down and they're not engaged, this means it's time to correct your course. So if you switch it and they get quiet, you know what to do. Go back to what you were doing before, which is my key thing I wanted to say here. If it is going good, do not switch it. If they are telling you don't stop with their body, don't stop with their breath, but they are not verbally saying don't stop, take it as don't stop. Nothing is worse than having your orgasm almost there and then it being taken away. We want to hear the heavy breathing. We want to hear the moans and the groans. I want you to be enjoying it just as much as I love receiving it. Now, those are just my top fingering tips to make you really, really, really good at fingering. And it's not just going to be as simple as watching this video, reading up on it. You need to practice. Practice makes perfect. And remember, different bodies react differently. So what works with one vulva may not work with your next. However, I figured I would add in a bonus, and it's penetration. So once your partner is primed and warmed up, they're lubed up, they've maybe already had an orgasm, or maybe they're begging you to put it in. The most important part is you ask them. And it could be one of the best ways to incorporate dirty talk. Tell me how bad you want my thick, hard in you. Do you want me to put it in, baby? Just little things like that. Or can I give you just the tip? But instead of directly entering in with penetration with penis, you're going to prime them now with your fingers. So I've incorporated a couple of different movements that you guys can choose from. So one of my favorites is going to be the circling and swirling motion. Now all of these can either be done with one or two fingers. However, I do recommend always starting with one. So when you're doing the circles or the swirling motion, this targets all of the sensitive areas at the opening of the vagina. Now, from a receiving standpoint, I've also had this done with a thumb, and honestly, with the thumb, it is kind of a vibe for me. So if you want to try that out instead of just using your two classic fingers, then go ahead, do so. What's the worst that they could say? I don't like it? Okay. The next one up is G-spot stimulation. So that spongy piece of tissue located 2 to 3 inches inside of the vagina. Now it's on the front wall. So think of when you're going in, you're pushing up towards their belly button. Now there are a few different techniques you can do here, but I'm only gonna give you one because I wanna see if you guys wanna see a whole video on fingering techniques. So it's gonna be the most common one, which is that come hither motion. So instead of doing the pulling back with your fingers, incorporate your whole arm, and by gently rocking back and forth. I don't mean pulling back and forth like very aggressive motions. I mean gently use your arm, and with the pressure that you would use to massage the back of a baby's leg. That was really specific. but you know what I'm saying, a really sensitive area. So you want to start off slow, less pressure, and then gradually increase speed and pressure. Now, as you're doing that motion, one of the money moves is using the rest of your hand to massage and caress the clitoris. So when you're rhythmically moving in and out, that gentle palm is going to be massaging the labia majora, minora, the clitoris, generating more of that blood flow and incorporating a dual stimulation. Now, once you get them to the point of climax or close to, you can either choose to give them the P and the V or to continue and finish them off here. However, my recommendation is to finish them off here and then go for the second one, which is going for gold. All right, babies, I hope you learned something from this video today. Don't forget to enter into the Moody Pleasure giveaway by entering your email, and the winner will be announced on IG and through email on April 7th, with the launch date happening on April 8th. All right, babies, I will see you on Thursday, and I want to know, what do you guys want to see more of? Cheers.